Guess who's back, guys? The property brother. I told y'all this break wouldn't last long. Okay, guys, so let's follow up on our last closet video. Now, in the last video, we focused on more the design aspect, or I should say the interior decorating aspect of what we did to build out this closet. But what I wanted to do on this video is a couple of things. One, I wanted to focus more on how did we actually build the closet? How do we pick these size Pax units from Ikea? How do we measure everything and how do we make sure it will fit? And then the second thing I wanted to do, I actually wanted to show you 3 different closets at 3 very different price points. And I also want to focus on colors and different types of units. So this unit is obviously a brown unit or a brown closet, but we'll show you another color closet. And so let's start out and let's look at this design and what we purchased from Ikea for this closet room and how we measured it. The first thing to be aware of that's very important when you're purchasing these closet designs and building these closets are the width of these units, right? These units come in 3 different widths, and I'll actually show you that in more detail on the Ikea website. So this is a narrower unit, right? So this I would call, as far as width, this is small. This is a small width.
So this is 2 units we're looking at right here.
The second unit next to it is a medium width. And these units are the wider widths. And again, I'll give you the exact dimensions when we jump on the Ikea website. It's important to know the width, right? And the depth. So we're going to talk about depth here in a minute because the depth's also valuable. But it's important to know your width and your depth because they vary. And it also determines what size accessories you can buy. What do I mean by accessories? Accessories are like these shoe racks, right? Or even just basic shelves or these pull-out units, right? All of these are accessories, and obviously the accessory you buy is going to be based on the width and the depth. And these are generally called complement. That's what you'll see on the Ikea website. So it's a very flexible, very modular system. But if you want to customize it, right, because Ikea will sell you kind of a pre-built kit that already has maybe 2 drawers or 3 shelves, but a lot of us want to customize the look. So if you want to customize it, you buy whatever size frame you want. So the frame is just the outside, just with nothing in it. And then you pick however many shoe racks, shelves, drawers you want to buy. So just to illustrate the differences in depth, right, we talked about the differences in width. If we look at this Pax unit and I put my tape measure up against it, this is about 14 inches, right? If I just walk over here to this new unit we just added, this is a deeper unit. So this unit ends up being, I think, about 23 inches deep. But it works over here because it's by itself, it's standalone. It doesn't butt up to any other units. Obviously, if I'm going to butt units up against each other, which is what we primarily have in this closet, you want to make sure the depths and the heights match up. So if we look at this entire wall, what did I have to do to design this? I had to measure how long the wall was. I had to account for this corner with a corner unit. I had to account for the height of the ceiling. These are tall. These are about 8 feet tall, right? So it's a 2-person job to bring these up, assemble them, and you've got to anchor them to the walls. So we've got our corner unit. We've got a smaller, more narrow unit here that's got the TV mounted, right? So when I'm mounting TVs, LED lights, I want to understand where the outlet is behind here, right? And I might even need to drill holes into the back of this with a saw. So I need to understand that. So we've got our corner unit, our narrow unit, our medium-sized unit, which I measured very carefully, and it ends right at our door here. And if you continue this way to the entrance of the closet room, you'll notice I left enough space here for the door to open. So this door can swing open and it's got plenty of clearance space. Now, what do we do if there's interference between the door and the closet unit, where you could potentially damage the closet unit? Let's show that next. So right here, we've got this little rubber stopper. You can pick these up from Home Depot or Lowe's or any hardware store. The reason that's here is because it's adjacent to this closet door. And if I open it, there's always the potential for it to bang this. So that rubber stopper stops it from being damaged. Another thing I want to show you with this unit, remember this is our deeper unit. So if we measure this, it's about, and I'll give you the exact depths in just a minute, but it's about, let's say 23 inches deep. This doesn't work everywhere. And let me show you an example. Just remember, this is how long this unit is. So if we tried to put a unit that was that deep, this is 23 inches, you can see we wouldn't be able to open this door. It would interfere with the door if we tried to use a really deep unit. So that's why here we use a unit that's a little bit shallower so that we have clearance to be able to open this door. This closet was built out using the Ikea Pax closet system, PAX Pax. we do have an example of another IKEA storage system inside of the closet itself. This is called the Kallax system. This is more of the cubicle system. So what we'll do next is we'll look at another type of closet that uses this Kallax cube-based system exclusively. It doesn't use any Pax. And obviously everything in here is brown, right? So the next closet we're gonna look at is a white closet. So let's compare and contrast the brown and the white closets. The other thing too is this is our high-end closet, right? So the budget for this is $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, right? So this would be our high-end closet. Costs a little bit more, but if you compare it to hiring a closet company to not only build the closet, but you have to pay for their design services as well, you're still coming out better if you can do it yourself. All right, so this is the crafts room in our basement. I won't go into a lot of detail here because we've actually already done 2 videos on this room, but definitely go out if you're not familiar with this room and aren't familiar with how we built it out. Definitely go check out those 2 videos. We go into a lot of detail about how we designed and measured for and built out this room. So this is an example of a mid-range, what I would call a mid-range closet build out from IKEA. This is gonna run you between $1,500 to $2,000. So certainly not, super cheap, but it is inexpensive when you compare it to someone custom building units like this for you. And obviously this is an example of a closet design that's done in a white color. So in terms of the color you pick, it is really up to you. I think the white design gives you a brighter, more vibrant look. So down here, especially in the basement, it made sense to have a really bright, fun look, especially for this being a crafts room. I think the brown gives you a richer, more distinguished look. The brown tends to look more like actual furniture, right? You typically don't see a lot of white, hard surface furniture. Whereas the white, again, gives you more of a bright, vibrant look. So it's really up to you. Use your creativity in terms of the colors you want to use. And once again, this is, the cube design, which is based on Kallax. Now you can mix. There's nothing to say you can't mix this Kallax design with the Pax design that I show in the closet room. You just got to make sure you measure everything carefully, especially the depths, right? You want to make sure that they're, equally aligned and line up really well in terms of your heights and your depths, but you can mix and match. So for those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, you know that we just finished doing our basement. We had an unfinished basement, we just got it finished. And we've decorated all the rooms in the basement except for this one. That's why you hear this echo. So I apologize for the echo. Now, I had assurances from my lovely wife that, hey Eric, you've already done the gym and the kitchen and the crafts room. You can take a break, we'll save the guest room for either winter or next year. But as you guys may have seen recently, she's got us out looking for furniture. She's slowly trying to, get us to get started on this room. So we have started picking a few things up, and I have started to kind of take some measurements. Because one of the things we want to put in this room is really some closet-like storage, almost like what you saw in the crafts room and in the closet room. Maybe a little bit different, but something along those lines, a lot of shelving, a lot of storage. And so in doing that, I wanted to give you guys an example of how I would start this process out with a blank slate, right? If I'm putting in Pax or Kallax or a shelving system, what do I need to know? What tools do I need to have? So let's talk about tools first. First thing you need to have is one of these, an electric screwdriver. Now, 5 or 6 years ago when I put together our closet room, believe it or not, I used a drill and a manual screwdriver. And my wife constantly makes fun of me because I use that manual screwdriver. And I was just doing like this.
It took forever.
It took forever. I used to try to drill screws with an actual drill, but these are a little bit too powerful, right? These have too much torque. So you want to buy just one of these little electric screwdrivers. IKEA actually sells them. This is a Black & Decker. This will make your job go a lot faster. Next thing I want to talk about in terms of construction, putting together these large shelves is really a 2-person job. Even with some of your smaller units, you really need 2 people. They get heavy, you got to unpack them. So make sure you have somebody helping you. And as you're mounting these or as you're scoping out what you're going to buy, you want to understand and measure, right? Grab the tape measure and just measure, and this is the height. So I want to measure the height. So how tall can my unit be, right? And in this case, this is a good time to take a measurement because I got to account for this head, right? I got to account for this, so my unit can't be too tall, right? And obviously, you want to account for your width. How long is this wall? And if I need for my, let's say I've got storage, I've got shelves, right? And they've got to bend this corner. Maybe I want to do a bend around this corner and stop right at the window. So what we'll do next is we'll jump on the Ikea website. And I'll give you guys an example of, let's say I wanted to do this with the Pax closet design. How you can go about shopping for that, not only online, but in the store. So let's check it out.
I'm going to start out on the Ikea United States website. So everything I'm going to show you is going to be based on the United States Ikea website setup. I think primarily in English units rather than metric. So you may see me talk mostly about these dimensions or measurements in inches, but I'll also try to remember to also speak in terms of centimeters. And of course, I'm filming this in June of 2018. The website could always change, between now and when you're watching the video. But I think even if the website changes, this will give you a basic understanding of how the Pax system works. So what I'm going to do is in the Ikea site, or on the Ikea site, I'm just going to Google Pax or search for Pax. And this is where I think the confusion can start. In the store or on the website, when you look at Pax, what you tend to see are fully built out wardrobes, meaning in this example, you got a full Pax wardrobe. And if we click on it, it's already got the shelves, the drawers, the doors, everything's built out for you. And this is fine if you're looking for something that you don't want to customize, right? You already feel like this design will work for you. But I think many of us would like to customize our own units. So if we scroll down and look at assembly and documents, this is eye-opening, and this is where you get your first hint of how Pax wardrobes are really put together. This system they're showing you is actually one Pax wardrobe frame. That's the big piece that holds everything. And actually it's two Pax wardrobe frames, and then several complement shelves, clothing rails, and other accessories. So what's really important and what you want to really look at are the wardrobe frames. If you really want to build out your own system and start from scratch, you start with the wardrobe frame. That's the big main piece. So if we go back and scroll up, we want to look at, in this case, I'm going to do frames for hinged doors. Those are the ones that I have the most experience with, and I think are the most popular for closet rooms and closet build outs. But I think you could certainly use what I'm going to show you to build out frames for sliding doors or wardrobes without doors. But I think this is the most common and is the base unit I would start with. So if we select frames for hinged doors, let's click on this first frame here so we can zoom in a little bit. What we want to think about with these frames, we want to start to think three-dimensionally. This is a box, it's got length, width, and height, and it's going inside another box, which is whatever room you're going to put this in. So we want to think about the width. How wide is this, right? We want to think about the depth. How deep does this go into our room? How deep is this go into our wall here? And then our height is certainly important. Do we have tall enough ceilings? Do we have ceiling clearance to be able to accommodate whatever height we're looking at? So let's go back. And we're going to start with width. You'll notice if we scroll down, right, we have three different, we'll call these rows of Pax. Each row represents a different width. This width is 19 5/8. So is this one, and so is this one. All four of these are 19 5/8. The width of this second row of Pax are all 29 1/2 inches, or 74.8. And I told you guys I would forget to do it in metric units. But so the first row is 19 5/8 inches wide, or 49.8 centimeters. The second row is 29 1/2 inches wide, or 74.8 centimeters. The third row is 39 1/2 inches wide, or 99.8 centimeters. So you basically have the smalls, the mediums, and the largest, if we're just thinking in terms of widths. Now, if we scroll down even further, we have corner units where if you're going to bend a corner, you want it to look a certain way. So let me click on a corner unit. I'm not going to get into corner units on this video because I think it would just get too complicated. But the corner units are something that you want to consider if you are going to do a full closet room and have these bend around a corner. And actually, let me open up one of their instruction manuals just so you can kind of see what it ends up looking like. So you can see from the illustration here, this would be your standard Pax frame that we're looking at that's in the dashed line here. And it would go all the way into the corner of your wall, and then this would stick onto the end of that so you don't lose this space here, right? That still becomes usable space. And it might be hard to kind of see it on the website or with the drawing here. And that's something, if you don't necessarily understand it or what I've shown you, you want to talk to a consultant about at Ikea. And even if you're talking to a consultant at Ikea, even if you plan to go in and talk to a consultant or use the online planner that I'm going to show you here in a minute, I think this video is still useful because you have a little bit of knowledge. You're not just going in blind. So we're still focused on the width. How wide are these? Width is important for two reasons. One is, let's do a simple calculation, right? How wide is our wall? How much length do we have on our wall, right? So let's say we've got a room that has a 12-foot wall, right? And I'm sorry, I'm going to do this in inches. 12 times 12, 12 feet, right? And they're 12 inches in a foot. You got 144 inches, okay? For those of us that remember our elementary math. Let's say, I'm going to do a real simple example. Let's say I wanted 5 of these. I really like this width and I want to do 5 of these. These are 29.5 inches wide, or 29.5 inches wide. If I wanted 5 of them, that would be 29.5 times 5. 147.5 inches. So you can see I'm too long here. That would be too many to accommodate a 144 inch wall or a 12-foot wall. I'm about, let's see if I subtract it, 3.5 inches over. So rather than being able to get 5 of these, medium width units, I might just get 4 of these and then 1 of these smaller framed or smaller width units. The other area where width comes into play is if we go back to our wardrobes with doors, right? So let's go back to where we started. And remember, I clicked on this one, I think. You'll notice that when we go to the assembly and documents, again, this was a wardrobe frame, right, that we were just looking at, just like what we were just looking at. But then you have all these complement accessories that we're going to look at here in just a bit. The complement accessories are purchased based on width, right? If you're going to buy a drawer or a shelf, it needs to match the width of your unit, okay? So if we go back to our frames, I'm just going to hit the back button here. For hinged doors, obviously if I'm buying a shelf for this unit, right, it's going to be a different width than the shelf that I would buy for this unit. So all those, shelf widths, drawer widths, basket widths, all those change based on the unit you are buying. Now, again, if you still find this confusing or you're still saying, man, I want to talk to somebody when I go to Ikea, that's fine, right? I think this video will still give you the knowledge to be able to build this out yourself or to be able to talk more intelligently to an Ikea consultant. You do also have in all of these, whenever I click on a unit, you always have this option here too to customize this combination. This is a tool that they have online. It uses Adobe Flash where you can basically give it the dimensions of your room and enter the Pax units that you want to buy and build it out yourself. So it's a pretty cool tool. I'll be honest, I play around with it a little bit. I haven't used a lot of it. So this is a pretty cool tool. Again, it does start you out with the fully built out wardrobes. Where I would tend to start is creating a Pax wardrobe from scratch. You tell it, what room design you're going to use, how big your room is, and then you add frames. You can come in here and add those different frames and kind of drag and drop. So nice tool to use. And again, before you use this tool, I would definitely try to understand, all of the things I just showed you to make using this tool a little bit easier. So let's go back. And we'll go back one more time. So we've talked about the width. Now let's talk about the depth. You basically have 2 different depths, and this website actually divides it pretty well. This side of the website, these are all the more shallow depths. All of these on this side are 13 3/4 deep or 35 centimeters. All of the ones on this side are a little bit deeper, right? These are all 22 7/8. The deeper can be better. It does store more, but sometimes, and you saw this in our closet, if you have a door or a corner that needs to be accounted for, sometimes this depth will not work. So you just have to think about that when you are designing your closet and your closet build out. The last thing we're going to talk about in terms of just the frames, and then we'll talk about accessories, is height, right? Height, I actually thought was pretty standard, but it actually varies quite a bit. So I'll keep this simple. You just want to make sure and double check that all the heights match up if you're going to be butting units up against each other. So for example, this unit is 79 1/4 inches, 101.2 centimeters. This one matches, right? This is also 201.2 centimeters or 79 1/4 inches high, right? So these would match. So you just want to make sure your heights match up. You'll notice this one is a little bit taller. And this matches the ones that we have. This is 93 1/8. This is almost 8 feet tall. So you want to make sure your heights match, and obviously that you have clearance above, to your ceiling or to your walls there. The next thing I want to show you are doors with hinges, right? I'm not going to cover the sliding doors. The thing to remember about doors, the way they work, you can either fit one door with hinges on a small width unit, or you can fit two opening doors on a wide width unit. As far as I know, the doors don't really work on the medium width because they're too big for one door and they're too small for two doors, right? And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the way my math worked out on most of these is the doors with hinges. Let's look, for example, we have the Vika dial door. Let's look at the width of this door. And it actually doesn't show it here. Let's look at dimensions. Here we go. So the width of this is 19 1/8, which would match with the narrow cabinet, right? Or you can multiply that by 2 and it would match with the wider cabinet. So you can again get one of these on a narrow unit or two on a wider unit. You'll notice when you, let's do this. Let's go to the interior organizers next. The thing that's really important, this is where it gets fun, right? You can pick your shelves, your drawers, glass shelves, shoe shelves, accessory racks. But when we pick any of this, right, we want to make sure, let's look at a drawer, for example, the width of this drawer matches the width of your unit. Just like our units came in 3 widths, all of these accessories, for example, this drawer comes in 3 widths and 3 depths, or 2 depths, I should say. So you've got to match that up very carefully, right? Your width has to match up. So we've got our 3 widths, 19 5/8, 29 1/2, and 39 3/8. So those are our widths, and we've got our 2 depths, right? 13 3/4 and 22 7/8. So if you're going to design this yourself, make sure that you're matching that drawer up with your frames. Buy the frames first, figure out what frames you want, and then match your complement accessories. You will also notice that the complement drawers do not have hinges, or pulls, right? Which is, I think a lot of people like because it gives it a more streamlined look. But if you wanted a pull or a knob or a handle, you can come over here and click on knobs and handles and buy or purchase a pack of knobs and handle. And obviously you can buy knobs and handles anywhere, right? You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or any home improvement store. What you want to remember though, because you're putting these in yourselves, the holes aren't pre-drilled. So you got to be really careful in pre-drilling those holes and making sure that they're even across all of those different drawers.
So the last closet design we'll show is our entry-level closet. And this is the Unfrumpy Mommy's chick cave. So this is inside of our master bedroom closet. Since we have a lot of her stuff in the closet room, she was able to use this as kind of a mini office. But she was also able to make this into a chick cave and do some really interesting thing inside of a closet that you might not normally think about. And so this is our entry-level design. Something like this should be a couple of $100s, right? So this is, stuff that anybody can do. We've got these dressers from Ikea. I really like, again, that streamlined Scandinavian design works really well in a closet room. What I like about this particular dresser unit It's really easy to put together, and it's got this frosted glass look, as well as these integrated handles. But you can get really creative with your handles. If you want something that's a little bit more blinged out, you can take these off and put on blinged out handles. We've got these floating shelves. So adding the floating shelves, and in a space like this, right, that's designed to be, really feminine. She's got her candles, her greenery, a few accessories. And so something like this is very, very inexpensive. And again, we did this in the color white, so you can kind of compare and contrast. Now, with something like this, your budget can really be very small. Again, if you've been watching The Unfrumpy Mommy Life for a while, we do a lot of storage options in Ikea, but my wife is also the Goodwill whisperer. So even if you've got a budget that's, really, really small, don't be afraid to go to Goodwill. You're going to have to stalk Goodwill a little bit. We stalk Goodwill and look for, those pieces of furniture that, hey, maybe you don't have room for it in your main house, but maybe it's something that'll do good or work well in your closet, right? And, don't be afraid to bring it home, sand it down, paint it, refinish it. And if you do something like that, the price of your closet can be, $50.